Good afternoon, everybody. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a relatively quick live stream. Something's just hit the head. Well, it actually hit 4 days ago. I didn't realize this is really bad, and I do feel I need to apologize for this. So what am I talking about? There is news out the last guys. I don't know if I'm streaming. Am I on? Am I on? Yes, I'm on. Right. This is what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. There is a new government plan to come after newborn babies with digital ID. Now, I'm going to stop sharing that. That's what I'm talking about. This is an article that was released the 1st of January, went under the radar for everybody. Newborn babies to be given digital ID in deeply sinister expansion of controversial Labour policy. Guys, I'm sorry. I genuinely am. You know, when I give you guys that wild analogy, right, where our babies have to be given, where our firstborn children have to be given to the government, and then the government do X, Y, you know, be as colourful as you want with those explanations. I think we're seeing it right now. I think we're seeing it. And you know what? We have zero method of resisting this. There is zero method that we have in the United Kingdom of resisting this. Why? Because we don't have that framework. So, guys, they are coming after your babies. I'm talking about digital ID. Now, this is an article. I'll read the article and then I'll jump onto the comments. Newborn babies to be allocated digital ID in sinister expansion of the controversial policy. Ministers have privately raised the prospect of issuing the new technology to children at birth, along with the red book. I don't know what that means. The red, right? Okay, so when you have a baby, you get like a red book, and it's got all their like stamps and stuff in it. Along with the Red Book of Health Records given to new parents. It would mark a major expansion of the digital ID scheme announced by Keir Starmer in September to tackle illegal immigration. So now, listen, guys, we need digital ID to stop illegal migration, and also every newborn baby needs to have it. What? It just don't think about it. It's just going to happen. It's going to go under the radar because this was released on the 1st of January. Nobody was listening, guys. This is not good. It really isn't. So remember when I give everyone that example. And we've got the real world example is now. So when I used to give people the example of something that was totally wild, something that was so far out there you wouldn't believe it. Hang on. When I give that as an example of what's coming, whereby everybody's firstborn child has to be given some sort of has to be handed over to the government. How would we be able to resist that? Well, it turns out that is real now. It turns out that is real. Right, guys, can you just hold there for 1 second? Give me 1 second. Sorry, my dad's just turned up with a load of wood. So remember how I give you guys the example, and it's a wild example, and I say to you guys, I say, listen, everybody, what legal framework do we have to oppose a tyrannical government? And then I give the example that if the government passed some sort of crazy law whereby everybody's firstborn child had to be given to the government and the police come and take that child away, and I gave that because it was such a far-fetched, wild thing. Never in my wildest dreams did I think something like that would happen. But it turns out newborn babies are to be given digital ID. Now, what happens if this is legislation? So here's where I'm going, right? What happens if the parents say no? What happens if you do not want your child to have that digital ID? And this is babies, man. So what happens if you don't want your children, if you don't want your baby to be given that digital ID, where they're going to probably take, I don't know, DNA samples or, you know, whatever. So what happens if you don't want your children? You know, what happens? What happens to the parents? Do they, you know, how is that enforced? Now, let's think about some of the tropes we've been talking about over the last couple of days. Violence is the ultimate, you know, it's the ultimate legislation is worthless without that violence to enforce that. So if this is legislated now, where our children have to have some sort of digital ID, and the parents say no, what's going to happen? Are they going to arrest the parents? Are they going to force digital ID on those children? I'm not saying I know the answers, guys. I don't know the answers. But this came out 4 days ago on the 1st of January, went totally under my radar. I didn't see this. It's had literally zero mainstream media, you know, commentary on this. What do you think, guys? What do you think? Do you think where do you think this is headed? Like, where do you think this technology is headed? Literally, George Orwell's probably saying, lads, guys, this was an, you know, this was a warning, not a blueprint. Right, let me get a couple of questions. Comments. Louise is saying, no, there are electronic digital ID tattoos. Just Google Bill Gates electronic tattoos. I didn't realize that. They announced they can remove the... Right. Leroy, where are you getting that from, mate? Is there a mainstream article on that, please? Leroy, can you throw that? Where can I find that as a mainstream article? He was... I don't know what that means. Venner is saying this been out for a while now. The government says all for talk about the same thing as ID for migrants. Liana is saying looks like another war about to break out with DJ Trump. I think you're talking about Colombia there. I think you may be talking about Colombia. Right, listen, guys, I am going to have to close this down. My dad's just turned up with a load of wood. I'll try and get back on later, and I will continue this. But look, that is the crux of this live stream. Digital ID for newborn babies. I do feel like this is like one of those things I was talking about, and I thought it was so wild it would never happen. So I do apologize on that, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, if you're on, you've not done so already, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all those things that help this channel. Guys, we are in for a wild ride.